Welcome to today's Transformation Dive, here at Earn Flow Zone, where we talk about building not just your bank account, but your bulletproof money mindset. Ever feel like everyone else got the secret map to level up their finances, while you're still stuck on the tutorial island, repeatedly getting defeated by the same level boss? Looking at you, unexpected bill. It's easy to scroll through life, literally and figuratively, seeing highlight reels of other people's wins. The sudden job offer, the seemingly effortless business launch, the friend who just got lucky with an investment. And deep down, you might feel that familiar tug of not enough, like you're perpetually running on a treadmill that's set to the slowest possible pace, watching everyone else sprint past you towards their goals. This feeling of being stuck, of watching the world move while you stand still, is incredibly common. You might have even tried to force a big break yourself, right? Maybe it was that one month you swore you'd eat nothing but ramen and air to save a fortune. How long did that last? Asking for a friend who definitely isn't me. Or the weekend you decided you'd build an entire side hustle empire in 48 hours, fueled by caffeine and sheer desperation. These big, dramatic, all-or-nothing attempts often fizzle out as quickly as they ignite, leaving you feeling even more defeated. You end up waiting for the mythical big break, that sudden windfall, the perfect opportunity landing in your lap, the moment where everything just works, without the grind. Because let's be honest, that's the story we've been sold. The lottery winner, the tech startup that blew up overnight, the artist who went viral. We see the destination, the peak of the mountain, and we assume they teleported there, or maybe took a secret express lift. The truth is, focusing on the idea of needing a big break keeps you stuck. It paralyzes you into inaction because the small, manageable steps you could take today feel utterly insignificant compared to the size of the mountain you need to climb, or the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You convince yourself that unless you can make a massive leap, why bother taking a tiny step? This is a trap. A really, really effective trap, designed by your own fear and the highlight reels of others. Before we shatter this myth entirely and talk about the real path to growth, if you're into real actionable money and mindset content that helps you build wealth step by step, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think and keeps you in the loop for strategies that actually work. Also, drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit wins so far. We're building a community here. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. You're scrolling through your phone again. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's news. Maybe it's just endless tabs. You see people making big moves, launching businesses, hitting financial milestones, living lives that seem impossibly far from yours. And you feel it, that familiar clench in your gut, the feeling that you're running on a treadmill that's stuck on low, watching everyone else sprint ahead. You've tried the big things, right? The drastic budget cuts that lasted 3 days, the intense 12-hour hustle session that left you burned out. You keep waiting for the big break, the lottery win, even a small one, the sudden job offer, the viral idea, the moment everything clicks into place and catapults you forward. Because that's how it works, isn't it? Big results come from big, dramatic actions, from overnight successes and sudden windfalls. That's the story we're sold, the highlight reel we see. You look at your own life, the small, repetitive tasks, the modest income, the slow progress, and it feels, insignificant. It feels like nothing you do today, this week, this month could possibly move the needle enough to get you where you want to be, especially not when the mountain feels so high, whether that mountain is escaping debt, building a secure future, or creating true financial freedom. So you wait. You wait for motivation to strike like lightning. You wait for the perfect opportunity. You wait for the right time to start taking massive action. And while you wait, you stay exactly where you are. You stay stuck in the feeling of not enough, doing not enough, and believing that unless you can do something huge, nothing you do matters. This idea of the big break isn't just a myth. It's often the biggest obstacle to your progress. Think about it like getting in shape. Do you get the physique you want by sitting on the couch, waiting for a sudden burst of motivation to run a marathon? Or by hitting the gym consistently, one workout at a time, even when you don't feel like it? People often underestimate the power of tiny, consistent steps because they lack the immediate drama and instant gratification of a supposed big break. The surprising fact is that almost every single overnight success story you see is the result of years, sometimes decades, of unglamorous, small, consistent effort that finally reached a tipping point. The big break wasn't a random event. It was the result of compound interest on diligent, daily action. This one habit changed everything for me. I stopped waiting for motivation or a magical opportunity and started focusing on one small, actionable step I could take today. It wasn't about fixing everything at once, but about doing one tiny thing that moved me forward, even just an inch. Ask yourself, what is one small financial habit you could start today, right now, that feels almost too small to matter? That tiny habit is far more powerful than waiting for the big break that may never come. Waiting for lightning to strike means you'll likely spend your life in the dark. The cause and effect here is clear. Chasing the big break leads to paralysis. Embracing small, consistent action leads to momentum and eventual, significant results. Here's the truth nobody highlights on the get-rich-quick feeds you scroll through. The people who achieve massive, lasting success in any area, especially money, don't do it with one big jump. They certainly aren't crushing some magic overnight formula. If they say they are, they're probably selling you something. Or maybe just lucky and haven't hit the wall yet. No, they do it with tiny, almost invisible steps, repeated consistently. This is the principle of compounding, and its power applies far beyond just interest in a savings account, which, let's be honest, isn't doing much for you right now anyway. Compounding is the quiet force that makes tiny changes lead to extraordinary results simply because they are repeated over time. Think of it like rolling a snowball down a hill. It starts small, but picks up mass and speed exponentially. Or, if you're hitting the gym, you don't lift your personal best on day one. You add tiny increments to the weight each week, and over time, you're lifting dramatically more than you thought possible. It's about being 1% better each day. It doesn't sound like much, does it? 1%? That's negligible. Your brain might even tell you, why bother? But here's the surprising fact, a myth busted by simple math. 1% better every single day for a year isn't just 365% better. Due to compounding, it's actually 37 times better. Imagine starting with a score of 1 and improving by 1% daily. After a year, you're at 37.78. On the flip side, being just 1% worse each day makes you almost 0.02 after a year. This is the shocking insight. Your daily decisions, no matter how small or insignificant they seem in the moment, aren't isolated events. They are inputs into a powerful system that is constantly multiplying their effect, for better or worse. The cause-effect is clear. Consistent, small, positive inputs lead to massive, amplified outputs over time. Think about it like this. Perhaps with the seemingly insurmountable task of clearing credit card debt, the mountain feels huge. Your beginner self thinks, I need to pay off $5,000 this month. It feels impossible, overwhelming, and so you do nothing. Your growing earner self thinks, maybe I can throw an extra $100 at it. It helps, but feels slow, like chipping away at a mountain with a spoon. Your ambitious builder self thinks, okay, I need a side hustle bringing in an extra $1,000 a month to tackle this. Again, potentially overwhelming, leading to inaction. The surprising truth? Simply paying $5 extra a week towards the highest interest card, consistently, starting today, triggers the compounding effect of reducing principal faster and reducing the interest you pay over time. That small action, repeated 52 times a year, saves you money on interest and builds powerful momentum. It's not the $5 that's magic. It's the consistency and the principal reduction effect compounding over time. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from starting small? What belief makes you think only big leaps count? This one habit, focusing on tiny, consistent improvement, changed everything for me because it made progress feel achievable daily. Your action right now. Identify one small area in your finances or related habits where you can make a 1% improvement today. It could be tracking just one spending category for the next 24 hours, reading just one page of a finance book sitting on your shelf, or automating a tiny $5 transfer to a savings account for next week. Whatever it is, make it so small it feels almost ridiculous not to do it. Do it now. Grand plans. They look fantastic on paper, don't they? The meticulous 5-year financial projection spreadsheet that would make an accountant weep with joy. The elaborate business model canvas that promises millions. The budget so detailed it tracks where every single penny goes. And you think, yes, this is it. This is how I achieve financial freedom. This is how I build that empire. But here's the thing. These grand blueprints often crumble before the first brick is even laid. Why? Because they demand a massive, immediate surge of energy, discipline, and willpower that is simply unsustainable for most of us mere mortals. Trying to implement that entire complex system at once feels like trying to bench press a car on your first day at the gym. You get overwhelmed, feel inadequate, and inevitably, you revert back to your old, comfortable, if ineffective ways. It's not a failure of vision, it's a failure of execution strategy. But small habits? Small habits are the quiet, unassuming superheroes of personal finance and growth. They work because they demand ridiculously little effort at the start. They lower the barrier to entry so dramatically that you can actually begin. They are boringly simple, which is their absolute superpower. You see, the surprising insight here, the one that flies in the face of all that go big or go home hustle culture, is that the act of starting and repeating, consistently showing up, is far more important than the magnitude of that initial action. Think about building the habit loop: cue, craving, response, reward. The goal isn't necessarily the immediate outcome of one instance of the habit, like getting rich from one investment. The goal is building that powerful, automatic loop itself. It's about creating the behavior pattern. Let's take that investing example from the description. For the beginner, it feels like you need thousands just to open an account. The growing earner thinks they need to become a stock market wizard overnight. The ambitious builder feels this immense pressure to find the next explosive growth stock like Tesla. It's overwhelming, so you do nothing. The grand plan paralyzes you. Now, consider this simple habit version. The barrier is microscopic. Open a brokerage account that allows fractional shares with no minimum deposit. Places like Schwab or Fidelity make this ridiculously easy. That's step 1. Step 2? Automate a transfer of just $10 a week into a broad market index fund. That's it. You don't need to pick stocks. You don't need to have a lot of money. You don't need to understand complex charts. Trust me, most professionals don't either. You just need to make the decision to start and set up the tiny, almost invisible system. That small habit, automating $10 per week, is infinitely more powerful than waiting until you have enough or understand it better. Why? Because it builds consistency. It gets you in the game. It proves to your brain that you can take action towards this goal. The reward isn't the few cents of growth initially. It's the feeling of showing up, of doing the thing you said you'd do. That reinforces the habit loop. Ask yourself, what's one financial or money-making habit you've been putting off because it feels too big, too complex, too overwhelming? Maybe it's finally tackling that messy budget, starting to learn a new skill for a side hustle, or yes, beginning to invest. This one habit changed everything for me when I finally stopped planning and started doing. Now, break that daunting task down into the absolute smallest, most ridiculously easy first step you can think of. For the budget, open my banking app. For the side hustle, spend 5 minutes thinking about one skill I could potentially monetize. For investing, go to schwab.com or fidelity.com. Your mission? Do only that incredibly tiny, ridiculously easy step today. Just start. Section 4. The Plateau of Latent Potential. You've started making those small, positive changes. Maybe you saved an extra $5 this week instead of buying that fancy coffee. Perhaps you dedicated just 1 hour to researching investment options after work. Or maybe you finally committed to tracking every single dollar you spend for the past 7 days. You check your bank account, look at your side project progress, review your spending, and nothing. Or at least, nothing noticeably different. Your bank balance didn't jump by thousands. That hour didn't magically create a new income stream. And honestly, tracking your spending just confirmed you still feel broke, maybe even more so because you're now acutely aware of where it's all going. This is the deeply frustrating, often overlooked stage known as the plateau of latent potential. It's a powerful concept James Clear lays out in his book Atomic Habits, and it's absolutely critical to understand when you're on your financial or personal growth journey. It's the period where all your efforts, those tiny, seemingly insignificant actions, are accumulating. They're building a foundation, like roots spreading unseen underground. But they haven't yet broken through the surface to show tangible results. Think of it like trying to heat water. You turn up the heat, the temperature rises degree by degree. 10, 20, 50, 80 degrees. For a long time, nothing dramatic happens. The water is just getting warmer. Then, suddenly, at 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. a massive, visible transformation occurs. But it required all that prior, seemingly uneventful heating. This plateau is exactly where most people quit. Why? Because they operate on a faulty assumption, the belief that progress is linear. They think input X should equal result X in a neat, predictable time frame. If I save $5, I should feel $5 richer immediately. If I work on a side hustle for an hour, I should see $1 return. When they don't see that direct, linear progression, the straight upward line they imagined, they get discouraged, feel like their efforts are wasted, and they stop. And here's the kicker. They often stop right before the compounding effects of their consistent effort were about to kick in and create that boiling point, that breakthrough moment. It's almost comically tragic if it weren't so common. Imagine saving for a significant goal, like a down payment on a home or a substantial investment fund. You decide to diligently put away $200 every single month. For the first year, 2 years, maybe even longer, it can feel agonizingly slow. The balance grows, yes, but the goal still seems light years away. Emergencies might pop up, forcing you to dip in. Meanwhile, your friends who aren't saving are enjoying life, buying new gadgets, going on spontaneous trips. It's incredibly tempting to look at your modest savings balance and think, is this small effort even worth it? It's barely growing. You are firmly on the plateau. The surprising, counterintuitive truth about these compounding actions is that their most powerful outcomes are delayed. The significant results are often the furthest away from the starting point. That $200 per month isn't just adding up to $2,400 at the end of the first year. It's building something far more valuable: the habit of saving, the discipline to prioritize your future self, and the understanding of how consistent action accumulates potential. This foundational work is what allows that amount to grow exponentially over decades, which is the real secret to achieving major financial milestones like down payments, retirement, or true financial freedom. Your action: identify one small habit, financial or personal development related, that you've recently started or have been considering starting. It could be saving an extra $10 a week, reading 10 pages of a personal finance book, tracking your spending daily, or meditating for 5 minutes. Commit to continuing it consistently for the next 30 days, regardless of whether you see any tangible results or feel any different in that short time frame. Trust the process. Stay on the plateau, because the breakthrough is built on the foundation you're laying right now. Welcome to today's Transformation Dive, right here on Earn Flow Zone. Ever feel like you're stuck in a loop? Like you're trying to get ahead financially or personally, but the needle barely moves? You read the books, you watch the videos, hopefully this one, you set goals. But maybe progress feels slow, almost invisible. What if I told you that the real magic, or the real trap, isn't in those big, dramatic life changes you keep putting off, but in the tiny, seemingly insignificant things you do every single day? It sounds almost too simple, right? Like, how can skipping a $5 latte actually change my future? Or how does watching one extra tutorial really move the needle on my career? People wildly underestimate the power of these micro actions. They are the silent architects of your destiny, building it brick by tiny brick, or chipping away at it moment by moment. This isn't just about saving pennies or learning a new trick. It's about recognizing that your identity and your results aren't defined by your intentions or your grand plans, but by the constant aggregation of those small daily habits. It's a surprising truth that often flies right under our radar. Stick around, because understanding this isn't just powerful, it's the only way to truly build the future you envision. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think. Also, seriously, drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win. It's cool to see our community growing. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. So let's talk about this concept that your habits aren't just things you do. They are literally compounding your future. Think of it like a financial account, but instead of dollars, the currency is your time, your energy, your focus, and your actions. Every single thing you do throughout the day is either a small deposit into the account of the future you want or a small withdrawal. Scrolling mindlessly on social media for an hour? That's a withdrawal from your focus account, your time account, maybe even your productivity account. It's a vote for distraction, for stagnation, for staying exactly where you are. On the flip side, spending just 15 minutes learning a new skill, even if it's just watching a tutorial or reading an article in your industry, that's a deposit into your skill account, your knowledge account, a direct investment in your potential earning power. It's a concrete vote for growth. Consider the daily $7 fancy coffee habit. Over a year, that's over $2,500. Each purchase is a tiny, almost invisible withdrawal from your financial health account. It's a vote for short-term pleasure, a fleeting dopamine hit over long-term security and opportunity. Now, imagine saving just $5 of that instead. That $5 deposit, compounded over time, could become a significant emergency fund, an investment, or the seed money for a side hustle. Each $5 saved is a vote for stability, for freedom, for choice down the line. The surprising insight here is that your identity, the person you become, the financial state you're in, the career level you reach, isn't based on your intentions. It's not about saying, "I want to be rich," or "I want a better job." Your identity, and therefore your results, are built on the consistent, often unnoticed, aggregation of your tiny daily actions. You quite literally become what you repeatedly do. Your habits are compounding your future, one small deposit or withdrawal at a time, influencing not just your bank account, but your mindset, your skills, your network, and your opportunities. Let's look at this in a career context. Take 3 people: a beginner feeling stuck in a low-wage job, a growing earner feeling capped in their current role, and an ambitious builder aiming for the top of their field. What's the common thread that drives real, sustainable progress for all of them? Continuous, small, almost mundane improvements in skill and networking. The beginner isn't quitting their job tomorrow to go back to school full-time. Instead, they dedicate just 20 minutes daily to an online course related to a higher-paying field they want to transition into. It doesn't feel like much today. The growing earner feels stuck because they haven't developed key skills or relationships. They commit 30 minutes daily to networking, reaching out to one new person or nurturing an existing connection, or practicing a specific skill crucial for advancement in their current role. The ambitious builder isn't just working harder, they're working smarter. They spend an hour analyzing market trends, studying competitors, or deepening their understanding of their industry's future direction. None of these daily actions require massive sacrifice, quitting your job, or upending your life overnight, but they are consistent. Over a year, That beginner has accumulated hundreds of hours of focused learning, making them genuinely eligible for better roles with significantly higher pay. The growing earner has built a valuable network or mastered a critical skill, opening doors to promotions or new opportunities. The ambitious builder has developed strategic foresight that positions them as a leader. This is where the surprising power lies: consistency over intensity. It's the drip, drip. Drip that fills the bucket, not the occasional flood. Your action today, right now. Look honestly at your dominant daily habits. Are they compounding towards the future you want? Or subtly, perhaps even silently, compounding away from it? Identify one habit that you know, deep down, is actively harming your financial or personal growth goals. Maybe it's hitting snooze 5 times, leading to a rushed, unproductive start. Maybe it's mindlessly scrolling social media for an hour before bed, stealing time you could use for learning or planning. And then, identify one small habit, but truly tiny one, that would move you towards your goals. Maybe it's reading one page of a relevant book, doing 10 minutes of online coursework, or simply reviewing your budget for 5 minutes. Commit to replacing the negative habit with the positive one for just 24 hours. Don't think about next week. Don't think about forever. Just win today. And that brings us to the heart of it all. We've talked about the power of those small daily actions, how they compound over time, like interest in a savings account, building the future you want, or subtly eroding it like debt. The one big takeaway from today is this: your habits are not just routine actions. They are the silent, powerful architects of your destiny. They are casting votes, minute by minute, for the person you will become and the life you will lead. The potential long-term benefit if you take action on this insight is profound. By consciously choosing habits that deposit into your future, learning, saving, planning, acting intentionally, you don't just accumulate skills or money. You build resilience, self-trust, and momentum. You create a virtuous cycle where small wins lead to bigger wins, where progress fuels motivation. This deeper insight about money, discipline, and growth is that they are inextricably linked. Financial growth isn't primarily about finding a magic investment or getting lucky. It's a direct result of disciplined, consistent financial habits. Personal growth isn't about a single moment of enlightenment. It's built through the daily discipline of learning, reflecting, and taking small steps forward. The two feed each other. Your ability to manage your daily habits is directly correlated with your ability to manage your money and build the life you desire. It all starts with those tiny daily decisions. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Okay, so you've embraced the power of tiny, consistent actions. You're showing up, doing the reps. That's fantastic. But here's where many people hit a plateau, and where we need to introduce a crucial concept: finding your high-leverage 1%. Because let's be honest, not all small actions are created equal in the journey to financial freedom or personal mastery. Spending 30 minutes meticulously alphabetizing your spice rack, or, as the outline cheekily puts it, rearranging your sock drawer, while perhaps oddly satisfying, isn't exactly going to compound into early retirement. You might have the most organized sock drawer in the world, but your bank account likely won't care. The key, then, isn't just doing any small action, but identifying the right small actions, the ones that, when repeated with intention, have an outsized, disproportionate impact on your bigger goals. Think of it like applying the 80-20 rule to your daily habits. Which 20% of your small actions are actually driving 80% of your results? This requires a bit of strategic thinking, looking beyond the surface-level busyness and asking, what is truly moving the needle? The surprising insight here: often the highest leverage action isn't the one that feels most urgent, or even the one that feels most productive in the moment. It's the one that digs deeper, addressing a root cause of a problem, building a foundational system, or unlocking future opportunities you can't even see clearly yet. Let's bring this down to earth with some examples. For someone wrestling with debt, the temptation might be to try cutting $1 here and $1 there, agonizing over coffee purchases. While frugality has its place, a truly high-leverage action for them, especially at the beginning, is tracking every single dollar spent for a week. It feels small, maybe tedious, but the clarity it provides is immense. It reveals spending patterns, highlights leaks you didn't know existed, and gives you the data needed to make informed, impactful decisions. That clarity is a foundation saving $5 on a single item could never build. Or consider the growing earner aiming to boost income. They might spend hours clipping digital coupons or trying to shave pennies off their grocery bill. A higher leverage move? Spending just 30 minutes researching average salary ranges for their role in their geographical area, or dedicating that time to practicing answers to common interview questions. This directly impacts their future earning potential far more than optimizing their shopping list ever could. For an ambitious builder working on a side hustle or business, is endless scrolling through motivational quotes the highest leverage? Probably not. Spending an hour cold emailing 3 potential mentors or strategic partners? That's networking. That's opening doors. That's leveraging your time powerfully. The point is, high leverage actions often feel slightly uncomfortable, maybe a bit harder than the busy work, because they target the core engines of progress. They build the systems, like tracking spending, acquire the skills, like salary negotiation, or make the connections, like strategic networking, that create exponential returns over time. They are the tiny gears that, when turned consistently, make the entire machine run faster and more efficiently. So, here's your action prompt, your challenge for this section, directly from the outline. Look at your main financial or career goal right now. What is one small action, consistently repeated, that would directly address a core problem or build a foundational skill or system related to that specific goal? Forget the urgent, forget the easy, focus on the impactful. Write that action down. Commit to it. This one habit of identifying and executing high-leverage actions can truly change everything. We often think of inaction as neutral territory. You're not actively doing anything wrong, right? You're just not doing anything. It feels like hitting a pause button. But here's the surprising and, frankly, slightly annoying truth. Inaction is not a pause button. In a world that's constantly moving, it's actually a fast-forward button for negative compounding. If you're sitting on debt, not taking steps to pay it down, interest isn't just static. It's compounding against you, snowballing that amount faster than you might imagine. You might owe $1,000 today, but delay action for a year, and with compounding interest, you could owe $1,100 or more without spending another dime. It's like trying to stay still on a moving escalator. You're inevitably going backward relative to the floor you want to reach. The flip side is also painfully true. If you're not saving or investing, even tiny amounts, you're losing out on the positive compounding growth of potential investments. That $5 you don't invest today doesn't just stay $5. It loses the potential to become $6, $7, or more years down the line. It's the silent killer of future wealth. Similarly, if you're not learning new skills or improving existing ones, your current skill set becomes less valuable relative to those who are actively growing. While you're comfortable, others are leveling up. Like in a multiplayer game where you're AFK, away from keyboard. When you return, everyone else is miles ahead with better gear. The most profound insight here is that standing still in a dynamic world isn't genuinely standing still. It is, by definition, falling behind. The gap between where you are and your financial or personal growth goals, or between you and others who are taking small, consistent action, widens exponentially over time, often without you even noticing, until the gap feels overwhelming. Think about the classic example. Two friends, both 25. Friend A may be inspired by some earn flow zone wisdom. Hey, you never know. Decides to start saving just $50 a month for retirement. He tuck it away consistently into a low-cost index fund. Friend B thinks $50 is laughably small. What's the point? They think waiting until they can save a real amount, which of course never feels like the right time. Assuming a modest 7% average annual return, which is conservative over decades, by age 65, Friend A could have over $120,000 just from those tiny, seemingly insignificant $50 contributions, thanks to the magic of compounding working for them. Friend B, having taken no action, has, well, the amount they started with, nothing. The true cost of Friend B's inaction wasn't just the lost $50 a month. It was the lost compounding on that money. The potential for that small seed to grow into a tree over 40 years. That's a surprising fact many underestimate. The opportunity cost of inaction is immense. Here's a powerful reflection prompt for you. And seriously, give this one some brain time. Think about one area in your personal finance or growth journey where you've been delaying action. Maybe it's starting to save, finally investing that small amount, learning a new skill that could boost your income, or addressing a bad habit like impulse spending. What is the potential long-term cost of not starting even the smallest possible step today? Just ponder that cost for 5 minutes. Don't judge, just observe the potential price tag of delay. This one thought exercise has been a game changer for so many. Okay, let's talk about the psychological trick that makes tiny actions stick, even when the results feel non-existent. You know that small step we talked about earlier, the one you committed to? Whether it's saving an extra $10, reading just one page of a book on investing, or exercising for 15 minutes, you take the action, and then, well, not much seems to happen immediately, right? Your bank account barely registers the $10. That single page didn't suddenly unlock Warren Buffett's brain secrets for you. And let's be honest, 15 minutes on the treadmill isn't exactly sculpting a Greek god physique overnight. This is where most people stumble. They focus solely on the end result of that microscopic action, and when the instant gratification isn't there, especially during the inevitable plateau phase, the motivation evaporates faster than free pizza at an office party. The surprising insight, the real magic that makes compounding work for you, isn't chasing that immediate outcome. It's falling in love with the process itself. It's about the action, not the instantaneous visible effect. The most valuable result you get in the beginning from a small, consistent action isn't the tangible gain. That comes much, much later. The truly precious outcome is the reinforcement of your identity. Think of it like this: you're not just doing an action, you're becoming a certain type of person. You're not just putting $10 into savings, you are becoming a saver. This identity shift is the bedrock. You're not just reading one page of a book, you are becoming a reader and a learner. This signals to yourself and the world that you value knowledge and self-improvement. You're not just exercising for 15 minutes. You are becoming someone who prioritizes their health and well-being. This internal narrative is incredibly powerful because it links the action to who you see yourself as, making the action intrinsically rewarding, not just a means to a distant end. This concept is a total game changer. For the beginner feeling overwhelmed by debt, paying off an extra $5 might feel pointless against a mountain of balances. But the goal isn't the $5. It's becoming a person who is proactive about their debt. This subtle shift in focus transforms a chore into a building block of your new identity. For the growing earner, the goal of tracking expenses isn't just about knowing where your money went last month. It's about becoming a person who is in control of their finances, someone who is aware and intentional. For the ambitious builder, practicing a skill for just 15 minutes isn't about instant mastery. It's about becoming a person committed to continuous improvement, someone who shows up daily for their craft. This one habit changed everything for me. I stopped seeing my actions as isolated tasks and started seeing them as votes for the person I wanted to become. Here is your action prompt, tying back to that small step you identified earlier. Reframe it completely. What identity are you building by taking this specific action consistently? Are you becoming a saver, a learner, a healthy person, a disciplined person, a proactive person? Try this for a week. Each time you perform that small habit, whether it's the $10 save, the one-page read, or the 15-minute workout, pause for just a second. And instead of thinking, okay, done, think, this is me becoming a insert desired identity. Remind yourself of this identity each single time you perform the habit. See if focusing on who you're becoming makes the process itself feel more meaningful than focusing on the still tiny result. Okay, let's dive into Section 9 of the script based on your outline. Section 9. Automate your 1% progress. You've probably heard the phrase, just do it. And hey, for a short burst of intense effort, that can work. But relying solely on willpower for consistent, long-term progress? Let's be real, it's a losing game. Think of your willpower like a battery. You wake up with a certain charge, but every decision, every unexpected challenge, every moment of stress drains it. By the end of the day, or even the afternoon, you're running on fumes. Trying to consistently make the right financial or personal growth decisions when your willpower battery is flashing red? It's like trying to push a car uphill with a flat tire. People often underestimate just how finite their mental energy truly is. And life, as we know, loves throwing curveballs. A bad day at work, a family emergency, even just a rough night's sleep, all of these can hijack your motivation and send your best-laid plans for progress spiraling. The truly successful people, they understand this fundamental truth about human nature. They don't rely on heroic levels of willpower every single day. Instead, they build systems. They create environments and processes that make the right actions easy, almost automatic, and simultaneously make the wrong actions difficult. When we talk about compounding small, positive habits, That seemingly insignificant 1% improvement daily. Automation isn't just a tool, it's your ultimate superpower. It strips away the need for that daily decision-making battle against a dwindling willpower supply. Automation ensures your positive actions happen consistently, day in and day out, fueling that powerful compounding loop you're working so hard to build. It's like setting your progress on cruise control instead of having to constantly steer and adjust manually. Here's the surprising insight, something that goes against our instinct to believe that hard work must always feel hard. The easier you make a positive habit to perform, the more likely you are to stick to it. And remember, consistency is the undisputed champion when it comes to compounding. Effort is important, yes, but sustained, low-friction consistency beats sporadic bursts of high-effort willpower almost every time over the long haul. Why white-knuckle your way through saving when you can set it and forget it? For money habits, this principle is incredibly straightforward and powerful. The day after your paycheck hits, set up an automatic transfer from your checking account into your savings account. Make it happen before the money sits there and whispers temptations. Automate your investment contributions into your brokerage or retirement accounts every pay period or month. It's hands-off growth. Automate your bill payments so you never miss one, avoiding late fees that are literally throwing money away, and protecting your credit score, a cornerstone of financial health. For skill building, like learning a new language or a software skill, treat it like a non-negotiable work meeting. Schedule it in your calendar and protect that time fiercely. For mindset work, maybe it's daily gratitude journaling or meditation. Set recurring alarms on your phone or use habit tracking apps that give you a satisfying visual chain to maintain. This one habit, automating my savings, absolutely changed my relationship with money and kickstarted my growth journey. Your action step right now? Think about that one small, high-leverage action you want to take consistently, something that contributes to your financial or personal growth. Maybe it's saving $10 a week, meditating for 5 minutes, or spending 20 minutes learning a new skill. Now ask yourself, how can I automate this? Or create a system like scheduling, using an app, or setting up a recurring transfer that makes this happen without relying on my motivation or willpower in the moment. Try implementing just one automation this week. See the difference it makes. Okay, you've put in the work. You've started small. You've stayed consistent. You've pushed through the inevitable plateau where it felt like nothing was happening. And now you're starting to see glimmers. Real, tangible results are beginning to surface from those tiny seeds you planted weeks or months ago. This is a critical moment, because this is when you strategically scale your small wins. Many people get this wrong. They see the first signs of success and think, all right, time to go all in, maximum effort, 10x everything, and they burn out in a week. Think of it like lifting weights. You started with a weight you could manage consistently. You built the habit of showing up at the gym. You pushed through plateaus where progress seemed slow. Now you're getting stronger. The right move isn't to suddenly load the bar with double your current weight. You add a little, maybe 5 or 10 pounds. You solidify that. Then you add a little more. Scaling isn't about a sudden, dramatic leap into the unknown. It's about intelligently leveraging the momentum you've already built from a place of established strength and consistency. That's the surprising insight here. Scaling is just making your ingrained habits slightly more challenging or impactful, not creating a whole new monster habit. Let's look at some examples from the world of Earn Flow Zone principles. Maybe you committed to saving just $10 a week automatically. For the first month, you felt it slightly, but you stuck with it. By month 3, that $10 vanishes from your account and you barely register it. Your brain and budget have adjusted. This is your signal. You can now realistically and comfortably increase that automatic transfer to $15, maybe even $20. It's a 50 to 100% increase, sure, but applied to something so automatic, it feels like maybe a 10 to 20% increase in actual effort or pain. See the difference? Or perhaps you decided to dedicate 15 minutes a day to learning a high-income skill. At first, finding those 15 minutes felt like a scavenger hunt. Now, it's just part of your daily flow, like brushing your teeth. You consistently hit that 15-minute mark. The plateau passed, and you're starting to grasp the basics. Now, scale it. Extend that focused learning time to 25 or 30 minutes. It's an increase, yes, but layered onto an existing routine, it feels manageable, maybe even enjoyable, as you're already in the learning groove. You're just staying in the zone a little longer. Consider budgeting. You started by just tracking spending in one problematic category, like impulse buys or dining out. It was eye-opening and helped you curb spending there. Now you have that habit dialed in. What's next? You can add another category to track, or perhaps transition to using a simple budgeting app to get a clearer picture of all your spending. You're building on the foundation of awareness you already created, not starting from scratch with a complex system that feels overwhelming. This gradual, intelligent scaling continues to feed the compounding machine we talked about earlier. You're accelerating your results, saving more, learning faster, gaining more control without overloading your system or breaking your precious habit streak. You're making the engine more powerful, but you're not redlining it right out of the gate. Your action for this section is crucial. Look at one small, positive habit you've been doing consistently for at least a few weeks. It could be financial, skill-based, or related to your mindset. How could you realistically and gradually increase its impact by, say, 10 to 20% without making it feel overwhelming or like a massive burden? Plan that tiny, intelligent increase. Write it down. This isn't about a quantum leap. It's about the next small step forward from a place of strength. Compounding isn't just some fancy term for numbers piling up in a bank account. At its heart, it's a fundamental principle about growth fueled by simple, relentless consistency. You see it everywhere once you start looking. The tiny seedling that becomes a mighty tree. The daily workout that builds strength. The single brick laid consistently building a wall. And here's where things get truly fascinating. And frankly, a little mind-blowing. One of the most powerful, yet often overlooked, areas where compounding applies is your mindset. Yes, your thoughts, your beliefs, the constant hum of your self-talk, these also compound over time, often with far more significant impact than your savings rate. Consider this, a single negative thought, something like, "Ugh, I'm so bad with money," might seem harmless, fleeting even. It's just a thought, right? But repeat that thought hundreds, thousands of times, especially during moments of financial stress or decision-making, and it doesn't just disappear. It builds. It layers. It compounds into a deeply ingrained limiting belief system that acts like a mental cage, holding you back from taking even the smallest positive action. It solidifies into an identity. I am someone who is bad with money. And guess what happens? You behave like someone bad with money, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is the surprising, almost insidious power of internal compounding. Your internal landscape is subject to the same exponential forces as your external financial world. Your daily mental habits are not just shaping your mood, they are actively shaping your reality, your actions, and ultimately, your financial outcomes. Conversely, think about the opposite. Small, consistent efforts to reframe those negative thoughts, simple acts of practicing gratitude for what you do have, or consciously choosing to focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. These aren't magic pills. They are tiny, positive inputs. But consistently making these small mental shifts starts to build incredible mental resilience. It carves out new neural pathways. It slowly, steadily compounds into a powerful, unshakable belief in your own ability to learn, adapt, and succeed. It's like training a mental muscle. One rep won't do much, but daily, consistent reps build strength you never thought possible. People often underestimate the sheer force of tiny, consistent mental effort because it doesn't produce instant, dramatic results. That's the myth we need to bust. It's the consistency of your mental habits that dictates their compound effect. Let's look at the examples laid out. For the beginner overwhelmed by their situation, repeatedly telling yourself, "I'm bad with money," compounds into a fixed, almost helpless identity that paralyzes you, preventing any forward motion. But what if, just once, you catch that thought and gently replace it with, "I am learning to be good with money"? It's a small shift, almost laughably small. But consistently making that shift day after day during every moment of doubt starts to build a new mental pathway. It opens up possibilities. For the growing earner hitting a salary ceiling, repeatedly thinking, "I'm not qualified for more," compounds into stagnation, a comfortable but limiting plateau. Consistently focusing instead on, "What skill can I learn next?" or "Who can I learn from to bridge this gap?" compounds into opportunity. It shifts your energy from self-doubt to proactive growth. For the ambitious builder facing inevitable setbacks, dwelling on failure compounds into fear and inaction, making the next attempt feel impossible. Consistently reframing setbacks as learning opportunities, asking, "What did I learn from this that will make me stronger?" It compounds into resilience, speed, and faster progress towards your goals. Your core decision here is simple, yet profoundly difficult. What thoughts are you choosing to compound? This isn't about becoming unrealistically positive or suppressing negative emotions. It's about conscious redirection. It's about recognizing the compounding power of your inner dialogue. Try this for 24 hours. Pay close attention to your internal dialogue, specifically about money or your ability to improve your situation. Become a detective of your own thoughts. Whenever you catch a negative or limiting thought, like, "I'll never get out of debt," or "investing is too complicated for me," or "I always mess this up," simply pause. Acknowledge the thought without judgment. Don't argue with it, just see it, and then gently reframe it into a slightly more neutral or even incrementally positive statement. "I'll never get out of debt" becomes, "I am figuring out my next step to tackle this debt." "Investing is too complicated" becomes, "I am learning about investing one step at a time." "I always mess this up" becomes, "I am learning from this experience." This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about planting tiny seeds of possibility and consistently watering them. This one habit, this conscious redirection of your internal compounding, changed everything for me. It's the bedrock upon which external financial growth is built. Okay, let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot, haven't we? We've peeled back the layers on the seductive myth of the big break, that lottery ticket fantasy that keeps so many waiting on the sidelines. And we've unearthed the quiet, relentless power of small, consistent actions. The principle of compounding, which isn't just for interest rates, but for everything you build. We've shown how a seemingly insignificant 1% improvement daily stacks up to massive, disproportionate gains over time, not just in your financial accounts, but in your skills, your understanding, and crucially, your mindset. We've shone a light on the infamous plateau of latent potential, that frustrating period where effort feels wasted, right before the breakthrough happens. We discussed why most people quit here and how shifting your focus from immediate results to the process and building an identity, I am someone who saves, I am someone who learns, is the key to pushing through. We explored finding high-leverage actions that give you the most bang for your buck. Understanding the silent, compounding cost of doing absolutely nothing, and how to strategically automate your progress and scale those small wins into bigger ones. And we've hammered home the point that this applies just as much, if not more, to your internal world, your beliefs, your resilience, your self-talk, as it does to your external actions. Your future isn't some distant event you'll magically arrive at when the stars align or the big break hits. Nope, it's the direct, cumulative effect of what you choose to do today and tomorrow and the day after that. Think of it like building a massive sandcastle. Each handful of sand might seem insignificant, but the structure only rises because you keep adding them, day after day. What happens if you ignore this fundamental lesson? If you keep waiting for the big moment, keep dismissing the small steps as not enough, keep living by chance instead of by deliberate, consistent choice, you stay exactly where you are, or worse. The gap between where you are and where you desperately want to be doesn't just remain static. It grows wider, fueled by the compounding opportunities you missed and the compounding negative consequences of inaction or clinging to bad habits. It's like trying to climb a mountain, but the ground beneath your feet is eroding slightly each day you stand still. The mountain doesn't get smaller, it effectively gets higher relative to your position. You remain perpetually susceptible to hype, pacing one unsustainable strategy after another, the equivalent of trying to build that sandcastle with one giant dump truck load that just collapses, experiencing fleeting bursts of effort followed by longer periods of soul-crushing stagnation and disappointment. You never build the fundamental momentum, the quiet discipline, or the solid identity necessary for true, lasting success that doesn't rely on luck. It's frustrating to watch, and even more frustrating to live. But here's the incredible truth. You don't have to live that reality. The power to change this isn't found in somehow finding one huge, intimidating action you probably won't stick to anyway. It's found in choosing just one ridiculously small action and committing to repeating it. Starting tiny removes the overwhelm, the intimidation factor. Anyone can do something small. Consistency, doing that small thing over and over, builds unstoppable momentum. And compounding, the magic behind the scenes, delivers the extraordinary, life-altering results over time. The fascinating thing is, you are already compounding something in your life right now. Are you compounding debt or wealth? Are you compounding skill or stagnation? Are you compounding limiting beliefs or empowering possibility-driven ones? The universe doesn't care. It just compounds. The choice between compounding chaos and compounding progress is conscious action, or defaulting to whatever happens. So here is the single most important, most doable step you can take right now, today, the second this video ends. Choose one ridiculously small, high-leverage action we discussed today. Maybe it's automating a tiny $5 transfer to savings. Maybe it's tracking just one expense category. It could be dedicating a mere 15 minutes to learning a new skill or refining an old one. Or maybe it's internal, reframing just one negative thought pattern when it arises today. Just one single simple action. Commit to doing only that one thing, consistently, for the next 7 days. Don't try to overhaul your entire life or finances overnight. Resist the urge to do more. Just change one tiny thing consistently and build that initial momentum. That, my friend, is where true power and lasting change begin. Stop waiting for the big break. Start compounding your future today. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around.